On today's episode of Today in World War II, November 28th, Stalin gets ready to invade Finland. A duel between two British aces goes on the RAF side. Uh, major battle in North Africa against the Brits against the Africa Corps. A very good day for a Canadian ace in North Africa, and Stalin, Churchill, and Roosevelt meet. And finally, a U.S. Army reaches a very significant river boundary. So let's get started. Today, on November 28th, 1939, a very important event happened. Sadly, not anything good for Finland because the Soviet Union had previously signed an agreement, a non-aggression pact with Finland, uh, promising that neither side would uh, do anything militarily against each other. Well, Stalin decided, you know what, we're going to tear this up. Now, the legal, quote unquote, legal justification for doing this was that he said that Finland had committed an act of aggression by shelling Russia from Finland the previous 2 days. But that was a typical Soviet uh, ploy. They still use that, by the way, where it was the Soviets who had fired on themselves and then blamed on Finland. It was a false flag operation. Well, the die was cast, the writing was on the wall, whatever other cliche you want to use here. It was very clear that the Soviets were going to invade Finland. And why they wanted to do that out of the blue? Well, remember that in 39, the Russians, the Soviets, and the Germans had signed a non-aggression pact between each other as well. And there was a secret codicil in that agreement, which gave the Soviet Union carte blanche against the Baltic states, half of Poland, and Finland. So this was the first move. I mean, Stalin would already swallow up the Baltics, and so he needed to go after Finland now. So Finland fight for its survival was going to start real soon. Well, what I want you to start real soon, as in right now, is to click the subscribe button and click on the bell, the little signal there that allows you to get notifications from YouTube when my next video has dropped. It's important you do this because you want to make sure that you watch these videos because they're better fresh. Let's put it that way. Okay, so do me a solid. All right, on today's date, November 28th, 1940, Flight Lieutenant from the RAF, John Dundas from the 609 Squadron, had a dogfight with Helmut Wick. At the time, he was Germany's leading ace. He had 56 kills to his credit at the time. And you can imagine, uh, I like to imagine anyway, just how exciting and thrilling that must have been to watch that. If you could be a fly on on the wall, as it were, to see them go at it. And surprisingly, the pilot that had the less experience and less victories came out on top. So John Dundas from the RAF, Flight Lieutenant John Dundas, actually shot down Mr. Wick. Helmet Wick, Hair Wick, as they want to say. And so he proved victorious. So that was a great win, a quality win, quality victory for John Dundas because that has ramifications, right? Because I think I saw a statistic somewhere that said in World War II, 80% of the victories were done by the aces of any particular air force. They were the ones that made hay. Your average Joes didn't shoot down many or any at all. So, when you shoot down an ace, that means ipso facto, you've saved a lot of your comrades. So good for Mr. Wick, Mr. Dundas, I should say. Bad for Mr. Wick. But what's would really be bad is if you don't take the opportunity right now to like this video, little thumbs up, click like, and then leave a comment. because as I explain this every single video ad nauseum and keep doing it until you understand. You need to help me with the algorithm so this content can go out to as many people as possible. And the way that happens is with engagement. Okay? I'll just leave it at that. All right, so then on today's date of November 28th, 1941, the British 7th Armored Division was in mortal combat in North Africa with the German 15th Panzer Division, the German Afrika Corps led by Rommel. In this particular battle, the German 15th Panzer Division had been numerical superiority, and even though the 7th Armored attacked, the Germans were still pressing forward to take the strategic harbor of Tobruk. That was the prize. Back and forth 2 or 3 times in 2 years. Tobruk was always the prize because that was a deep water port that the Germans could use for resupply, the British could use to resupply. Whoever controlled it was going to be able to break into the home territory of the enemy. In the British case, it would be Egypt, and in the Germans' case, it would be to kick them into French North Africa. It was interesting that in this counteroffensive by Rommel would end up driving the British all the way to Egypt, where they'd be stopped at a place called El Alamein, and that's where things changed. But right now, Rommel's secret weapon, as always in this campaign, was his mobile 88 anti-aircraft guns that absolutely could decimate a British tank, and that's why I'm surprised that the Brits didn't. They were brave. I mean, let's face it. They kept attacking, but boy, it was tough to go on an environment, a desert environment with no cover against 88s. That's brave. That really is brave. Okay, and then on November 28th, 1942, in North Africa, same campaign, Canadian ace Frederick Aikman attacked 2 German Dornier 217 aircraft, and he shot one down and damaged the other. Now, Aikman's history is very interesting. He came into the Canadian Royal Air Force, well, the Canadian Air Force, and then of course he was incorporated part into the RAF. Well, he was sent to North Africa. He ended up, I think, with less than 10 victories. He was shot down and was injured, had to go through a lot of rehabilitation. And when he came back to active duty, he requested that he be taken off fighters and changed to flying C-47 transport planes. I had the opportunity to talk to a World War II veteran, a fighter pilot, and he told me that for him, the most terrifying job as a pilot in wartime would be the pilot of a transport aircraft.